And try it. Testing. Okay. Well, okay. Hear us now.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody here.
Okay, we're getting there.
So you, none of you, online heard the,
No.
okay, you give them a quick summary.
Okay. I can do that. I talked briefly about the Kentucky Civil Rights Hall of Fame. We've started that nomination process. We've sent out nominations to our forms to our local commissions. We also have a distribution list that we're working on now to send out additional Hall of Fame nominations. I was telling commissioners initially that if you have any suggestions for judges for this process, to let staff know. Also, if you have any interest in making nominations, let us know. We'll make sure you get a form. The form is also on the webpage. I talked also about the building issues. I indicated that we're almost out of the Hayburn building. We're scheduled to be completely out by February the 29th. I indicated that Chair Burst met with Natalie Bronner, the Real Properties Division Director, and her managing attorney, Patrick McGee. And a couple of days after that meeting, we received a lease for our permanent location, which is right across from where we are now. And so I've sent in my signature and I'm waiting for it to be fully executed with the rest of the signatures, and we'll get that back. A question was asked about, in the report, I mentioned something about the Joint Innovation Project with EEOC, and Chair Burst had asked about the $3,500. Have we considered utilizing that to work with local commissions? And I indicated to him that I would look into that to see if that was something that we could possibly do. Also asked about, in the case closures, 2218H Witzel versus Murray State University. And I had just indicated to him that I would find out for sure and let him know. But it actually is a housing case, and it is with Murray State University. It's dealing with lodging and the dorms at Murray State University. Oh, that's you. Okay. Well, if you have any other questions about my report, I will answer this.
Any other questions for the executive director? Okay, hearing none, let's move on to Brandon and the budget and personnel.
I have my report before you. I've got some information about the budget bills. House Bill 6 has passed completely through the House and is now with the Senate. And they, a few days ago said, maybe 4 days ago, said they were planning on deliberating over this bill for the next 2 weeks and then issuing a version of their own, and then it will go into reconciliation since it's passed through. I'll take any questions at this time.
So House Bill 6 reduces our appropriation by approximately $200,000.
$209,900.
So what did they knock out?
So the justification for that was as of July 1st, they were taking the funding for 2 vacant positions that were open as of July 1st. We have since filled one of those positions. And that was an across the board measure that they did for vacant positions funding for state agencies.
So do we get to make a presentation before the Senate? Before one of their budget committee or whatever, anything there? Because again, given, I guess we're probably a organization for signing on riders in the legislative body, given the tenor of where they're going. But the fact of the matter is, to reduce the savings by another $200,000 caseload we got, supposedly with an obligation for enforcement, puts it on pretty.
Significant, yes. We don't have anything scheduled.
McDaniel's from up north, it's the Senate Budget Committee, right?
So there's a couple different
I know some
committees.
committees,
Yeah,
The big,
yeah, I'm not sure. I don't have that information.
I was thinking whether we maybe need to make a written request to McDaniel, directly laying out, one, what the agency's statutory charge is,
Mhm.
what we've done in the past, and request some consideration, or at least, what was the number in the governor's budget proposal?
My cursor back down here. So
Well,
it's in the report.
don't-
It's in my report on the first page. It says,
2306, okay.
yeah, the governor
No, I
proposed giving us
Oh,
3 additional positions that we requested. Yeah, it's the 2024-2026 executive budget recommendation. And it was also put in, submitted as House Bill 114 by, I think, Daniel Graham et al.
just move this with to McDaniel, make a request and see what it is. Y'all would draft, put something together, I'll sign it. We need to hand deliver it to him. Now, looking at the budget, one that I wrote a note about good, when I look at employee training and all of that, and I compare it to 23, to where we are this year already, very significant, which is a good thing. Then I might know that as it relates to rental property, don't pay us another penny.
We have not.
Not one more single red cent. Yeah, as Cynthia said, we had a meeting, folks from Real Properties, and they she brought a lawyer with them, and the request was, one, to get the piece of this facility, which we hadn't gotten. The other was, I made a request specifically for, funding for, building out the space that we're now in. They were reluctant to want to take on the previous landlord, but when I outlined the things that had happened in that building, no air, no heat, water, those things, it was almost as if they tried to feign that they didn't know anything about those issues in terms of where it was. And so where we left it was they were going to go back and reconsider and come back to us. Failing that, I was going to go meet with the finance secretary. We haven't heard anything back to them in terms of our request. We may give them another week or two and then follow up on it. So very good. Any other questions? Any questions relating to the budget and personnel? Okay, hearing none, let's move to Santa and mediation.
Good morning, everyone. Just a few comments to add to the report that you have before you. Last time I had mentioned that cases coming in had dwindled down. They're definitely starting to pick back up. One quick correction to the report, the mediation that was scheduled for the 6th had to be rescheduled, it's been rescheduled to the 22nd. Due to a need for an interpreter, the complainant has said that I have not needed an interpreter, but wants to see the information that was fine. They did in fact need an interpreter. So we'll be using the services of Catholic Charities to provide that service. Since the last commission meeting, 3 cases were resolved. One was in partnership with the EEOC. Again, we have another one of those. The issues were, one was disability that settled for $5,000. One was based on race and.
You all hear us on the, online? You hear that?
We can hear you.
Yeah, she's right next to the microphone, so it should be okay.
There was another one that was discrimination based on race, and the outcome was reinstatement, so he was reinstated back to his job. And one that was based on discrimination based on gender status that settled for $6,500, and also drastic changes to the employee. That's all.
Are there any questions for Santa? Hey, now move to enforcement and Cedric.
So good morning, everyone. As you can see, cases are moving. Housing is doing good. And I want to give kudos to the housing enforcement. Well, they're moving cases as well. I do want to say on the report, my report does not reflect current. So the reason why is because when we turn in cases, there's a 14-day waiting period for reconsideration. So my report is still including those that are waiting for 14-day reconsiderations, which now have subsided. It's the 15th. Today was the deadline, but it still includes those cases. So we have cases that are closed within the count, but it's not reflected in my chart. And that's because of the 14-day reconsideration period for housing, for employment and public accommodations. Since the last commission meeting and now we've had one training, one housing training that took place. But overall, and just, I won't get this update every commission meeting, but overall collectively, since December 4th, which is a good day, since December 4th, we've had 21 collective trainings that have taken place since December 4th of 2023. So we're having a lot of trainings going on. These are investigative trainings, this is EEOC trainings, and this is HUD trainings. Most of them were free, most of them were online, only a couple were in person. So I want to give an update regarding trainings and that we're making sure staff gets trained adequately so we can do a thorough job in our investigations. I just completed one-on-ones Tuesday, going over the 5 oldest cases with each individual investigator. I'm working with, I'm working with the legal, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm working with legal on making sure we can close these cases. I'm sorry. Legal has been very responsive and very helpful when it comes to closing cases and giving advice and guidance as needed in order to make sure we can get, especially these older cases, closed. Which brings me to something that I know y'all saw in the report, which was a lot of administrative closures due to inability to locate the complaint. So I passed these out to the people present. But this is from HUD. So it was a lot of the inability to locate administrative closures that come from HUD. This is the form that we use. It's a FAP complaint closure review form. FAP is a Fair Housing Assistance Program, which is what we are under HUD. And this is the rubric we use in order to close cases when we cannot locate the complaint. So we just don't one call or we email and we don't hear from them. We have to follow this standard in order to close a case at HUD. So I wanted to pass this out so it could be seen that way y'all know we're not just closing cases because we can't one phone call and we're done. We actually have to attempt multiple calls, as it says. So we have at least 4 phone calls, at least 2 attempts email, attempt to contact the person and identify by a complaint to, that part. And then we have to send a certified letter, a 10-day certified letter, and see if that bounces back. So we have to give all it, and sometimes I go physically to the homes as well. And sometimes I physically go to the home and we'll knock on the door to see if, depending on the location, to see if they are living there or if we can make contact with them. We also have to use their emergency contacts that they put in there. So we try every avenue to contact the complainant before we close a complaint based on the inability to locate the complainant. So I wanted to make sure that was clear as far as that goes, and I wanted to give out an example of what we follow, regarding that. Also,
Given that, shouldn't we have even more closures?
now, we're able to find a lot of people. Sometimes we'll send out the 10-day letter, we'll get close, and the last day, the day after the last day, they'll contact us, and we'll be able to continue the investigation. But sometimes that adds to, and that's out of our control, can add to the timing of an investigation, is the aspect of not being able to locate the complainant. They pop up out of nowhere and come back, and we're able to continue the investigation. Oh, yeah, it's up there. So for those who are online, that's the same form that they're looking at right now in person. And that's the rubric we use in order to close a case for inability to locate complainant. But we also, I want to be clear, use the same closure review forms for all of them. So there's a closure review form for cause cases, NPC cases, withdrawal with resolution, withdrawal without resolution. We have review forms that we look at before we close a case to make sure all the elements are there. Some of the older cases might not have all the quality requirements, but can you go down, Brandon? The required documents. So, and just to give y'all examples, so for HUD's purposes, those required documents for each situational case, that we have to meet the required documents before they even look at the quality requirements in order to look at payment. So we have to, the required documents have to be in there. So every case has to have those required documents, no matter if it's calls, NPC, withdrawal of settlement, so on and so forth. So I wanted y'all to understand as y'all see certain things come through, we actually are following a rubric in order to make that decision or to make that closure.
Which gets me back to my question again. So when I look at a case that's been around for 844 days, my logic says in 844 days, we should have been, if we have done all those things, that ought to be right for closure.
So in cases like that, and this is the thing about thoroughly investigating too, they went without somebody working. There was no staff to work the case. So if you get a case that goes to one investigator, they leave that case since dormant, nobody does anything, the next investigator picks it up. A couple of these cases went through 2 investigators. Some of them went from a person that was here in 2020, they left, somebody else picked it up in 2021 or 22, they left, and it ended up with the current investigators that we have now housing. So some of these cases that you see that long had 2 investigators before it got to the current investigator that ended up not being able to locate the complainant. And I don't like those type of closures, but if we can't locate the complainant and we can't make a decision based on the information before us, we have to close it that way. If we can't, we can't make a decision.
It may mean that by the end of this year, we ought to have a significant number of closures on this case.
I'm hoping that we have a significant closures period. You know, and we can, the goal is once again to get to a manageable and reasonable case age, which is 40% for housing. And I think if you look at the numbers right now, we're getting closer and we're moving progress-wise into that. I mean, even on the case, we got 358 as a case age. The month before that in January was 393 was the case age. So, and you see we got 62 cases that are down from 72. That's 10 cases between January and now that are down, but we are still receiving cases that are not accurately measured on this. We're receiving cases since then. But yeah, so that's, and also that housing case that you spoke of, there was a reasonable accommodation case in the housing regarding you say modification, but it wasn't just wanting to apply and some other things based on disability. And they did accommodate. So that was that case. In housing cases of dormitories, we can investigate those depending on what the actual complainants are found.
I'm surprised that they get to that stage.
Yeah. Any questions?
Curiosity question.
Yes.
Do the complainants leave the area? That's why they're not, you can't find them, or has the numbers grown at all?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether we can't find them. So I don't know if they left the area, if they moved, maybe they could have moved down the street, but if we don't know that, we can't reach them. So we do attempt. And sometimes I went to Hopkinsville and I went to places and knocked on doors to try to see if we can somehow locate or get something. We even went one time, so we had an on-site a couple of weeks ago, which is a Louisville case. And we went there and was able to get a follow-up phone number from the actual respondent, and we was able to contact the complainant. We was able to work on that case being closed because the complainant was like, yeah, I don't know that. So they turned on more to pursue the case. But at the same time, we were able to take those measures and get a phone number in order to contact the complainant. We'll take as many measures as we can to locate a complainant before we close the case. Look at I answered it like I knew something.
I should know the answer to this. What does it mean to close one intake or have one intake for hood purposes?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Because the contract says, there's this many cases in one intake.
We receive the intake, instead of them coming directly to us, an inquiry comes directly to us and we do an intake, it comes from HUD.
So HUD sends it to the
Yes.
state, so our contractors take one case from them this year.
Yes.
We get more than one case.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we don't, that says it, but we get more than one.
I know you may get more than one, but for purposes of the contract,
Mhm.
all we have to say is have one thing,
Yeah.
bill contraction obligation.
Yes.
Any additional questions for Cedric? Hearing none, education and outreach, who's gonna do that?
I am. Mary Ann is actually on vacation. I may not have the answers if you have a question, but I will make sure that you get an answer. Do you have any questions, that you would like to present on, Mary Ann's report for education and outreach and intake?
Have we decided the location yet? For
For-
the Hall of Fame?
No, we have not. We were kind of looking, for Hopkinsville is the name that keeps, the location that keeps popping up. But it's not set at all.
Any questions from anyone else? Hearing none, let's go to Colton and legal unit.
Good morning. Again, no real changes from the report, from last month. Pretty close settlement in a couple of the cases we've got ongoing, and we've got a couple of, probable cause determinations, in the pipeline that should be reflected on the report next month. Again, like Cedric said, we continue to work with him, in assisting the investigations in any way that we can. We also work with the other units to try to ensure that our standard operating procedures are current, and reflect the way that things are actually done. Not in my report is a little bit of a legislative update. There are at least 12 by my count bills in either the Senate or the House that somehow touch on KRS Chapter 344. I want to highlight a couple of the ones that I thought were notable. Senate Bill 134 would essentially make sexual orientation and gender identity a protected class under state law. Also, House Bill 391 is essentially the same. House Bill 89, also known as the Ban the Box Act, would prohibit employers from requiring disclosure of criminal convictions on their initial application for employment. House Bill 170 would incorporate the ADA amendments from 2008 into state law, where it otherwise has not been incorporated. House Bill 232 is the Crown Act. House Bill 291 would add weight as a protected class for purposes of employment discrimination. And House Bill 344 would prohibit housing discrimination based on source of income. No real movement. I think each of those are with their committees. When I looked last week, I didn't see any of these bills advancing further than that. So the session runs for quite some more time. So in March, I'll update and see if any of those move.
Didn't 345 come out of the House?
345.
The one on source of income from property.
344, that's 344.
344. Thought they moved that out.
It looks like on January 23rd, it was introduced in the House, and also on January 23rd, it was sent to the Committee on Committees. And that's the most recent update. Bill watch.
One of the chambers passed a bill that was directed, I guess, primarily to Louisville in terms of the ordinance banning landlords in terms of source of rental things. I'm not certain how it was heard in committee and voted, so.
That is a local ordinance here in town.
No,
It-
it's state, it's a state.
It made landlords not required to accept Section 8. I think that's what it was. I can tell you.
I don't believe I have anything else unless there are any questions for me.
I would just note on the legislative update, by the time we meet next, the House and Senate will be entering concurrence days, and there won't really be any more days of legislation left.
They don't meet in concurrence days until March the 27th.
Correct, so they're taking off Monday the 18th. They're not coming in.
We meet on March the 21st, which is the 55th day. I mean, I don't, no new bills.
I'm
can be
sorry?
introduced After.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
No new bills can be introduced in the House, after the 26th of February and in the Senate on the 28th.
Correct.
Our next meeting is March the 21st. Concurrence days are on the 27th and 28th.
But there are no days in the 26th and 25th.
That's correct. Or the
So we're
18th.
meeting at the very end of so the idea that we're updating our legislation on the 21st, there is no more time to lobby or to move bills past that date. If there were bills we were interested in, a legislative update on the 21st would just tell us if they succeeded or failed. It would not allow us to be a practicing voice.
Well, that was all that I was suggesting, was that I would update to see if they've moved any further since the 21st.
Okay, just want to make sure that's clear to the commission that waiting another 30 days would inhibit any ability for us to raise our voice on any of these issues.
To be clear, I didn't suggest that we were or weren't. I was just going to provide a status update on the next meeting date. I didn't know there was any interest in
Beyond
providing this.
our primary is in that budget number.
I do that. Anything else?
Any other questions for Cole? Status of the open record.
Fulfilled, save for, I need to supplement the response with Commissioner Littman's emails as well as Commissioner Stringer's, which I have not received. Fulfilled, with what I had and no real.
Here's everything back.
I have not.
No news. Okay, thank you for that. There are no committees, so we move to new business, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 resolutions for consideration. Ask the executive directors to step us through them one by one. No, it's what they are.
We have 5 resolutions for your consideration. The first one is a resolution calling for a transgender Bill of Rights to be adopted by Kentucky. And you should have gotten draft copies of these. The next one is
Let's go
go
one
ahead.
at a time. So,
Yes.
okay, on that resolution, are there any questions? Corrections or additions? Hearing none, is there a motion regarding this resolution? Been moved that the resolution be approved. Or second? It's been moved to second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your hands so we can see where we are. Okay. Motion passed unanimously by those voting. Okay, let's go to the second.
And the second resolution is a resolution in support of the Crown Act.
There are a motion regarding the resolution on the Crown Act.
So moved.
Is there any discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, again, that passed unanimously by those voting. What was the next one?
The next resolution,
Director, did we update the resolution to include sending a copy to Representative Brown?
no, it does not say specifically Senator Brown. We will make that correction.
Okay.
Support of the Crown.
I'll let him know today. Thank you.
Did we do that?
Yes.
Okay. Still.
The next resolution is in memory of retired Jefferson County Judge J. Michael Brown.
There a motion regarding that resolution.
So moved.
There a second?
Second.
Okay, we move to the second that the resolution for J. Michael Brown be approved. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your hand. Again, it passes unanimously by those voting.
The next resolution is in memory of former Louisville Urban League President Ben Richmond.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Been moved and seconded that the resolution be approved. Any any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your hand. And pass unanimously by those voting.
The last one is a resolution commemorating the 60th anniversary of the 1964 March on Frankfurt.
So moved.
Second.
Can you repeat the title one more time? I didn't catch it.
Been moved and seconded that the resolution commemorating the.
Can you repeat the title another time so I know what we're voting on? I couldn't quite hear.
Any discussion on the motion?
There's been a request to repeat the title.
Were you saying something, Commissioner Smith?
There was a request for it.
Sure, our audio is coming through from them.
We're not able to hear your audio in the room, but. Okay, all those in favor of that resolution, raise your hand. Okay. Again, pass unanimously by those voting. It takes care of the resolutions. Is there any other matter to come before the commission at this time? Okay, hearing none.
Can you hear me?
The rabbi asked if that was the last resolution.
Yes.
He said, what?
Oh, what was the last? Okay, sorry.
The last resolution was a resolution commemorating the 60th anniversary of the 1964 March on Frankfurt.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
I
think-
don't know what's going on.
I think you can, but the room can't.
I didn't change anything.
Oh, something, yeah.
Oh, give me just. No, no. There it comes through. Check, check.
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Now we can. I don't know. Yes.
Excellent. I just think it should be noted that A report came out from the Department of Justice and the FBI on Friday of last week that reported increases in hate crimes nearly across the board against African Americans, against Jews, against LGBTQ, against Hispanic Americans, with the highest gross number being over 1,600 violent incidents against African Americans, and the highest per capita number being a 0.09 rate of anti-Semitic incidents against Jews. And as we are in charge of monitoring these things, it's important for us to be aware of that information.
Thank you.
Yes.
Commissioner Henry? You saying?
No, I was just sanctioning what was stated by Rabbi. Where might we be able to read that report?
I would be happy to, I'll send it to everyone.
Thank you.
I have a copy of it. I given it last week when they were first released. So. Okay, anything else come before the body? Hearing none, just a reminder, the next commission meeting is for Thursday, March 21st, 2024. Meeting here in Louisville in person. I guess the other thing that I was, I can't find now, but anyway, that's the March meeting. So if there are no other business coming before the body, may I have a motion for adjournment? Motion for adjournment. The second. All those in favor, raise your hand. And we are adjourned. Thank you all.
I have to do about information about the fish trial, because some day before. Yeah, I mean, you know, and second state.
Yeah.
The legislative.
Yeah. And it's the day before this.
For the day before our meeting. It's on the 20th, that Wednesday.
What's the day before the meeting?
Huh? It's on Wednesday.
You have to contact somebody for coming?
No, just.
Yes, hold on a second, that's.
They're going, leaving, but just
Attending. Opportunity.
Top left of the screen.
No, because then we might want, Commissioner Henry might want to.
No.
Well, the real deal is this.
Yes, I'd like to mention that.